Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living, our Sunday service. My name is Carol Cross, and I'm one of the licensed, registered, or whatever, one of the licensed practitioners here at the center. And at TCSL, we have a couple of fundamental principles. One is that in the universe, there is only one power, one presence, one substance, called by many names, names of different names for God, or spirit, or divine love, or whatever. But that is who and what we all are at our core. And that is all that there is in this world. And our second fundamental truth is that we have in this universe, we have spiritual principles that work with mechanical regularity. Just like the physical laws like gravity, spiritual principle works all the time. And so we spend our time together mastering those spiritual principles so that we can create the life of our dreams as well as achieve our global vision of a world that works for everyone. So we are so glad to have you be part of our service today. Now, before I begin the meat of the service, I have a few announcements. So, the holidays are coming up, and they're going to look different this year, but that's okay. We are going to have our annual Christmas Eve service on Thursday, December 24th at 7 o'clock. And our annual New Year's Eve service on Thursday, December 31st. Both of those are at 7 and will be available both by Zoom and Facebook Live. They are also going to be completely different from any of the New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve services that you may have experienced before. They'll be filled with music, message, and magic. So we will be doing them in the service, but we'll be streaming them live, and we look forward to your participation. And there will be some more details coming. Also, mark your calendars for our New Year's Day visioning service. So that is going to be on Zoom. And so we're going to go through a process to download your highest and best idea for 2021. More details will follow. But do start saving your magazines, because once you get this great vision for the coming year, you're going to want to create a vision board to keep that picture in front of your eyes all year long. Now, Giving Tuesday is a global generosity movement unleashing the power of people and organizations to transform their communities and the world. Giving Tuesday was created in 2012 as a simple idea, a day that encourages people to do good. Over the past 8 years, it has grown into a global movement that inspires hundreds of millions of people to give, collaborate, and celebrate generosity. While we will not be directly participating in the National Giving Tuesday campaign, we will celebrate the season of giving in our own way. We encourage everyone to participate in the season of giving, beginning Tuesday, December 1st. And what we've done in the spirit of giving, our internet guru, Rebecca, has created just an amazing digital advent calendar. So behind each door of the calendar, we have something special for you, an image, an affirmation, a video, or a song. We send out a link to the calendar so you can open each day and receive your gift. If you did not receive the link, then please reach out to Heather or Dusty. In the spirit of giving, we ask each of you to commit, in addition to your regular giving, to give a suggested gift of not less than $1 a day to support our center and a place at the table. We will, in the spirit of giving, share 50% of all proceeds with a place at the table, who has been serving approximately 250 free meals each day over the past 8 months. If you find the calendar inspiring to you during this season of giving, please feel free to show your appreciation with any additional gift amount you desire. Thank you in advance for your generous offer gifts. Okay, and so now I'm going to invite up to the platform today's platform host, the just amazing person that we know and love as Heather Abbott.
Thank you, Carol, as always. You're so sweet. Good morning, everyone. Happy December. Our theme for 2020 is 2020 Spiritual Vision. Our December theme is Celebrating Divine Truth. Jim's talk title today is Welcoming the Shadow. Now I would like to read our flower dedication for today. It is for Nora Kassar and is from her home group. They say, Nora, on behalf of your birthday today, we wanted to publicly recognize what a fabulous person you are. Your compassion, creativity, courage, and caring are a gift to the world, but particularly to us. We especially want to thank you for taking leadership of our home group when the previous hosts, Bibi and Rick Van Sant, moved away, which allowed us to continue meeting. You've opened up your beautiful home, garage, or backyard to us, depending on the weather and health situation, and navigated between socially distanced and Zoom meetings with aplomb. We so appreciate your generous and loving commitment to support our ongoing fellowship and spiritual growth under challenging situations. Happy birthday. Love, Brooke, Carol, Casey, Ryan, Suzanne, and Trudy. Happy birthday, Nora. Now I'm going to read this community's purpose statement, which is our reason for being here. Our purpose is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals to experience themselves as unique and individualized expressions of God, the love intelligence that governs the universe. We are committed to not merely a theoretical understanding of our oneness and unity with God, but to consciously practice this truth in our everyday lives. Through celebration, service, study, and fellowship, we are committed to the transformation of our personal lives and to being a powerful and beneficial presence on the planet. With the energy of unconditional love, simply, we are here for God. Now I would like to invite you to participate in our centering ceremony. I invite you to close your outer eyes, turn within, and allow these healing sounds to wash over you.
As the last of the sounds reverberate, I just allow that sound to vibrate through me and know that it is spirit. That spirit is the great principle and power and creative medium in this world. And so I celebrate it, breathe it in, and know that it is me. It became me in order for me to express its life in a unique way. And I am all the things that it is, but not all of it. And so as I know this for myself, I know it is true for each individual and the sound of my voice and beyond. I know that each is a creation beloved by the Creator, knowing that they are here for a reason, on purpose, and loved for just who they are, without any need to change. And so I know we are all bound up in this one life. Each of us is a wave in this ocean that is spirit. And so from this place of unity, I speak a blessing on our service today, knowing that it unfolds with perfection, that it touches each person that listens and watches, that it stirs something in our heart, perhaps for the very first time, and that we move into a higher vision of ourselves. I just bless everyone, knowing that they are safe and guarded, that they are blessed beyond measure. And I just give thanks for this service and for this community and for the love between each soul. And so it is. I would love to introduce now the lovely practitioner du jour, Carol Cross.
And I'm going to ask the amazing Heather Abbott to come up and assist me with one of our favorite rituals, the Blessing of All Faiths. The Triangle Center for Spiritual Living honors the diversity and threads of truth that run through all spiritual paths, as represented by this ceremony. Christianity is the path of Christ consciousness, love, and forgiveness. Buddhism is the path of compassion and understanding. Judaism is the ethical path of living by sacred law. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God, the highest calling. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Taoism is the natural way, the path of ultimate reality. Native American practice and shamanic traditions are the paths of primal spirituality. Shintoism is the path of tribal ancestry. Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Science of mind and spirit is the path of the divine principle of love and law. And the heart represents the one heart, the one love that resides at the center of all people and all beings everywhere, with no exceptions. May peace prevail on earth through the followers of all paths. And so it is. Okay. Our reading for today is from Ernest Holmes. He says, "We can sit in the shade or move into the sunshine. Sitting in the shadow, we may not really believe that there is any sunshine. But the sun would be there all the time, and all the time we are in bondage, the real freedom exists. It is there, but we must awake to it." Okay, so I invite everyone to close their outer eyes as I have a quick invocation for today's service. I go within and I realize that I am not just a tiny drop. I am part of that huge ocean of spirit that Jim talks about. And in that way, I have as my core being, I am divine love, divine wisdom, abundance, joy, peace, surrender. And when I align with that knowledge, I feel good and I do good. And so from this place, knowing that this is not just me that this is true of every one of us, everything in this universe. And I know that our speaker today, this soon-to-be Reverend Jim RIGSBEE, will embody that truth, that he opens himself to be a channel of divine love, divine wisdom. And through him, we will all be reunited with our divine nature. I also know that our musician, Sandy Hemingway, will transport us to that divine sphere through his heavenly music. So I know that this is already done in the mind of God, and that we merely align ourselves with that perfection. And so this service will unfold in divine way, divine love, and divine right action. So I turn it over to the spiritual law, where the universe always says yes to what we request. And I ask everyone to join with me in anchoring that for ourselves and each other with our words, and so it is. And so it is. All right, now we have a man whose music never fails to move me. Sandy Hemingway.
Thank you. This is a song I wrote back in 2016. It's called Sunshine Within the Heart. Every day is new. Stars all decide to hide. Clouds may obstruct the view. Still the sun will rise. Whenever the sun is shining, we think it allows us to see. But hidden behind the light, the stars still gleam. Appearances can be deceiving. Starlight can only be seen in the dark. Living the truth means believing. There's sunshine within the heart. Sunshine within the heart. Just because we cannot see doesn't mean it is not there. Life is darkest, look within to find the spark of sunshine within the heart. Every night we dream. First we must close our eyes. Blinded we then can see movies in our minds. Wherever we go and dreaming, it vanishes when we rise. A world of our own creation in our mind. Reality can be deceiving. Dreaming can only be done in the dark. Living the truth means believing.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you so much. Hi, let me add my welcome to everyone out there. And this is my favorite time of the year, the holidays. And we have a beautiful holiday coming up this week. Hanukkah starts. And I'm going to be practicing that at home with my candles. And I just welcome you to these holidays where we celebrate going into the darkness, but still seeing the light within us. So I'm going to give you the bottom line of my talk up front. I'm going to give you the punchline. You, yes, you, are perfect, whole, and complete right where you are. Those parts of yourself that you do not like make you whole. We cannot have the light without the dark. Otherwise, we would not know the depth of the light nor the depth of the darkness. It is time for us to own those parts of ourselves that we do not like and see the gifts that they bring into our lives and the lives of others. So I hope you can take that in. So I want you to indulge me for a little bit. I'm going to talk just a little bit about psychology. I promise we won't spend much time on this. But the darkness of which I speak is called the shadow self. Carl Jung, the renowned psychiatrist, defined the shadow as that what a human being would not want to be. It's a little harsh, but that's kind of what he said. The shadow is a part of ourselves that we often disown. This aspect of our personality is often unconscious to our ego, to our conscious mind. It's usually in the subconscious. Often the shadow is unknown to our personality, but it is part of our personality. Every person has a shadow self, I'm sorry to tell you. In their human incarnation, it's not part of our spirit, but it is part of our human incarnation. And I want you to know that the less the shadow is incorporated into the conscious human life, the darker and denser it tends to grow. Now, Jung also said that the shadow is prone to projection. And Lana Goes, in one of her articles, says, "The thing that I do not like about myself, I project that onto another when I see that trait in the other." So probably the most reliable example of projection, this is a concept I have a little trouble getting straight in my mind sometimes, is about bullies. Often bullies suppress feelings of inadequacy. Perhaps they've been emotionally or physically abused or told that they're just nothing. And so they act out this through projection by trying to make other people feel miserable. They want others to feel as miserable as they do inside. So they taunt others and perhaps even physically and emotionally abuse them. This is a clear example with bullies why it is so important to heal those underlying repressed emotions and feelings. Lana Goes says in her article on triggers on the Savannah Spirit website, gotta tell you, people trigger us and it's a gift. I know, that's hard to take. They are revealing an element of our shadow side. So those people that trigger you are touching something in that subconscious. If we can unveil this darker hidden part of ourselves, we can receive that gift that it is and be able to work with it. She says it's so important for us to be honest with ourselves in this way. Jacob Lieberman said, I have two quotes from him. "A shadow is produced when an object blocks light. Whenever we block the light guiding our life, we create a shadow. Only when we are transparent and in alignment with the source of light, as when the sun is directly overhead, does the shadow magically disappear." He also says, "What we call our shadow is nothing more than an aspect of our nature waiting to be embraced and reclaimed." Now, we believe here in a principle called human race consciousness, and human race consciousness is what Jung would have called the collective unconscious. Indeed, that is what he called it. All of the thoughts and prevailing ideas of the collective human race are contained within this collective intelligence. We are connected to the one mind, so we are influenced by this race consciousness. And we have to consciously choose to rise above this consciousness if we want to shift our lives and make changes. So if we don't make these conscious choices, we are subject to the law of averages, those ideas that are found in the mind. A lot of times people will say, why did that happen to me? And a lot of times there's just the law of averages operating in the universe, and that happens. It happens. Now, I'd like you to turn within for a moment with me. Take a deep breath and go into the silence. I would like you to take a moment, literally 1 minute, to think about an element of your shadow personality. We're doing this to bring it up in your own mind for healing today. It's all right if you can't think of something, just be gentle with yourself. And when you discover the shadow element, be sure not to beat yourself up about it. Now breathe. Let go of any feelings of negativity you may have. See yourself embraced by loving light. And if you feel comfortable, you may open your eyes now. Just love yourself in this moment. Why is shadow work so important? In Matthew chapter 22, verse 29, we find, love your neighbor as yourself. The key phrase is, as you love yourself. I'm here to tell you that you can only love others, or love anything for that matter, to the degree that you love yourself. I think Jesus' intention here is that we are loving ourselves, or working on loving ourselves deeply, so that we can actually reach out to others and share that love. Doesn't this world need more of us loving each other? I think so. So the work is to deepen our love for ourselves, and embracing our shadow is a big part of that work. Remember at the beginning of this talk, I said that your shadow side and your light side together make you whole. We absolutely must embrace those parts of ourself that we have disinherited, disowned, or rejected. It may be that we have suppressed these parts of ourselves and are in denial that they even exist. This last bit's dangerous because it can cause us to act from our subconscious, and that, my friends, is not always so pretty. We can embrace our shadow side, make friends with it, and even learn to love it. Can you believe that? From this work, we experience a greater sense of our inherent wholeness with which we were born. So bringing those two halves together is the truth of who we are. It is wholeness. So I'd like to share with you a part of my shadow self and my understanding of how it got there. Now, I'm not sharing this story for you to feel sorry for me. I'm not sharing this story to blame anyone. And I have done a great deal of healing around this, so I'm okay. During my middle and high school years, I brought home report cards that were pretty good report cards. They were cards to be proud of. However, I didn't get any praise from my parents. All the parenting books they had read at the time told them not to overpraise your children or they'd turn out spoiled rotten and have problems in society. So I don't blame my parents. That's what they learned. That was the prevailing idea at the time. So even though they probably felt pride inside, they weren't able to share that because they didn't want to spoil me. And I've even spoken to my parents about this, and we've come to a beautiful understanding about it and know that it's okay. So the next report card that I brought home was an even higher grade. So on and so forth. Brought back a higher grade and a higher grade. just hoping that I would get some praise for the grade that I made. Not to brag, but they even had to make a new grading range for me. That's how hard I actually worked at getting a good grade. I don't think I could have done any better in math. I tried really hard, but still no praise. So I learned to be an overachiever. I also formed some shadow opinions of myself. Perhaps I didn't really deserve any praise. Perhaps, just perhaps, I'm not good enough. So I eventually suppressed and internalized this unworthiness and this brokenness into my subconscious. As I mentioned, one outcome is that I'm a perfectionist and an overachiever, and these aren't necessarily bad things. They've really taken me far in life to be able to do things well. However, I have some not so nice shadow behaviors. For example, when someone else gets praise, receives a promotion at work, or other lauded accomplishment, I get jealous instead of wishing them well and being happy for their achievement. I don't always express this jealousy, but I feel it inside nonetheless. I also tend to market my talents and abilities in inappropriate and very annoying ways. Some call it bragging or being full of myself. I don't mean to be this way, but you see it's the repressed shadow side coming out, trying to compensate for all of that lack of praise that I wanted so badly. Another bad behavior is that I can't let someone share their accomplishment. They barely get finished before I interrupt with a comparison of the similar achievement that I have made. This leaves most people feeling that they don't care about their achievements. And they're less likely to share with me next time. And of course, there are probably a lot more shadow behaviors that I'm not even aware of. Maybe my friends are, but I'm not. Wow. Woo! That was tough, showing you all my dirt and grime. I hope you find it useful to understand an example of what the shadow side can look like. The good news is, I've been working to embrace my shadow side for many, many years. Now, how does one go about embracing one's shadow? How do you relax into that wholeness that I spoke about? How do you make friends with that side of yourself that you'd rather not own? According to Lana Goes again, one can either live in denial and badmouth everybody in your mind, or you can own that side of yourself and make peace with it. Her advice starts with unveiling the shadow side in little bits at a time, just small bits to people around us that we love and that we trust. Let the loved ones in your life help you and support you in letting go of these little bits, letting them out into the light. Take baby steps to love those bits of your shadow. She says to remember, it is always about us and never, never, never about them. It is never about the other. And that's a lot of us feel like that's the bad news. We'd love to blame other people, but it's really all about us. The work is within ourselves, not outside. If you find the shadow interrupting your life, perhaps through depression, sadness, anger, interfering with your work life or your social life, etc., then maybe it's time to seek therapy. I cannot stress the importance of seeing a therapist in these cases. Now, if you're doing all right mentally and your life is going fairly well and you're not paralyzed by any of this to the point where you really need therapy, think about using spiritual means to get to that next highest level and to embrace your shadow side. You can see a licensed practitioner. We have lots of them here. You can find them on our website. And they can help you bring that shadow to the light, give you some support, and some healing prayer. In my case, how did I deal with this? First, I recognized the problem. And to recognize the problem, I had some pretty hard smacks across the head that got my attention over the years. And I'm pretty fortunate to have had people who love me enough to share that experience of my shadow side. Wasn't always easy to hear, but they loved me through that process. I have been willing to listen and do the inner work to heal this messy stuff, as I call it. Now, I'm not perfect. It's always a work in progress. So during this process, I had to practice a lot of self-love and compassion. I can't stress how important it is for you to practice that compassion with yourselves. There are times that I sit on my chair and I think about an experience of a conversation I have with someone or a group of people, and I find that I've engaged in that old shadow behavior again, and I start to beat myself up. But these days, I stop myself much more quickly, take a deep breath, and go, it's okay. It's okay. We can pick ourselves up, and we can try again the next time. The more and more I move quickly to embrace my shadow and love it up, the better I feel and the more whole I feel. It helps me to figure out where the shadow behaviors come from, as I shared in my story. So just try to get in touch with where they came from. Let it speak to you. When you understand, you can be more compassionate with yourself and start the process of healing. Now, I did some work one time with a wonderful guide that had me sit in a place that I felt very comfortable. And for me, that was by a fireside camping, out in the chilly night air, getting warmed up by the fire. And this person invited me to bring my little child self and have them sit beside me. And when I did that, I let that child speak to me all of the hurts and wants and needs that it had. And then as an adult, I was able to talk to that child and let them know that they were loved just for who they were, and that everything was okay, and that I was sorry that they never got what they needed, but that they were okay. This is a very powerful work that you can do with yourself. It's a guided imagery that you can do with yourself. So let's turn within one more time. Remember to breathe deeply. Recall that shadow side you identified earlier. Begin to feel how it longs to be loved and understood. Try to reach out to it and tell it you are willing to understand it and let it come out into the light of day. Be compassionate with yourself during this process. There's nothing or no one to blame. What is, is. If you feel comfortable, make a promise now with yourself to honor and respect your shadow side. Allow yourself to open to the possibility of integration and healing in the days, weeks, and months to come. And just stay turned within as I pray. Knowing there is one God, one Spirit that is light, wisdom, compassion, and pure love. And I am one with it. Yea, I can never be separate from it, for it always lives within me and breathes through me and experiences life in a unique way through me. And as this is true for me, it is true for everyone. There is not one person that this is not true for. And so from this space of unity, I speak a word for each of us, knowing that we are able to embrace that shadow side in ourselves, to love it, to nurture it, to integrate it into our consciousness and experience our wonderful wholeness. We are pure love and light, and we can embrace that. We forgive those times when we have acted from the shadow side in a way that did not bring joy. We now accept joy in its place. And I'm just so grateful for the healing power of the light that shines on the darkness. I express gratitude for the work that everyone will continue to do in the days and weeks and months to come. And know that Spirit is with us every step of the way, arm in arm, hand in hand, heart to heart. So it's time for me to step out of the way. I have spoken the what. It is Spirit's to do the how. So I simply turn this over to Spirit, knowing that it is done. And so it is. Thank you. So now is our time to practice abundance. And I'd like you to imagine yourself stretching your hands out way up to the sky and seeing all the stars and the planets and the comets and the moon, and be able to touch them, be able to wave your hand through them as if it were water. Just recognizing that there are so many that you can't even touch them right now. That's what abundance is. And imagine yourself on a sandy beach counting each grain of sand. You would be counting forever. So just take that into your heart and know that every part of your life is abundant and is available to you, just like these two examples that I gave. And allow it to build in your consciousness every day. And know that there is a law of giving and receiving, that what you give comes back to you tenfold. So we practice giving and we practice being good receivers. So if you are so moved, I invite you to use our text to tithe feature, or to go to the trianglecsl.org website and click on the donate button. I think it's actually called Give. And we really appreciate any gifts that you wish to share with us. Thank you so much for that. And so I now invite back Sandy Hemingway.
This is called Hope. Hope is knowing when skies are gray, that on another day the sun will shine.
Well, just thank you so much, Sandy. I can't think of any more perfect songs for this talk than the ones that you gave. So thank you so much, and thank you for Jim. It's a tough subject, and you did a great job with a very vulnerable talk that was both inspiring and practical. So thank you. We're just so blessed by the level and variety of talent that we have in our community. Okay, so if anyone would like prayer, please go to our website at trianglecsl.org. On the home page, there is a button in the upper right-hand corner. Click on that button and fill in the request form. We will get that prayer and send it out to all of the ministers and practitioners so that we will be supporting that prayer with you. And if you're interested in scheduling a practitioner session, as Jim suggested, if you're taking this shadow work into your heart, there is on our website a list of all the practitioners, and you can contact them, or you can always get in touch with Heather and Dusty, and they'll match you up. So, okay, so after the service, immediately following the service, we will have our Let's Stay Together. If you're on Zoom, just stay there and we'll get off the camera and come join you on Zoom. If you're on Facebook Live, then go over to Zoom and let's spend a little time in fellowship together. Now it is time for our December affirmation. So this is the first time we get to say these, so we're going to say it with lots of vim and vigor because they're fresh new baby affirmations. So it is a call and response, so I will read them first and then you can repeat after me. Perfect God, perfect woman, perfect man. Perfect God, perfect woman, perfect man. My awareness of this truth expands through meditation and contemplation. My awareness of this truth expands through meditation and contemplation. My mind is an inlet to the divine. My mind is an inlet to the divine. Sitting with the divine presence, I draw the entire universe into my own soul. Sitting with the divine presence, I draw the entire universe into my own soul. Listening to the voice of divine presence, I come into a consciousness of peace. Listening to the voice of the divine presence, I come into a consciousness of peace. My mind is an outlet to the world. My mind is an outlet to the world. Peace in my heart outpictures as peace in the world. Peace in my heart outpictures as peace in the world. I let my light shine. I let my light shine. And so it is. So we're going to end the service with another perfect video. So stay for that. But just before that, I ask you to close your outer eyes as I say a final blessing on today's service. And I close my eyes and I see that light. I see that light that I am. And it is a divine light. It is a holy light. It is God's light. And it is me. And I am it. And we are all one. And I feel that wholeness. I feel that acceptance and completion that Jim spoke of. I see that light, that spark of hope that Sandy sang about. And I know that that is my truth. And I also know that that is the truth of every person on this planet, everyone who listened to this service, everyone in our community, everyone in our world. And I see that light shining everywhere, through everyone, and driving away the darkness. And I'm so grateful. I am so grateful that we had this time together. I am so grateful for how it has uplifted me, and I know that it has uplifted others as well. I know that it has unfolded in divine perfection. And I know that this light will continue to shine through us in the days to come. So I just turn my thanks, my gratitude, and my affirmation that we are shining beings over to the law that always says yes. And I ask you to join me in sending it on its way with our words, and so it is.